Okay, Italy, France in Rome in the Six Nations today was potentially. It's got some of the tries of the tournament in from both sides. Both sides basically treated this like sevens. There wasn't a lot of tactical kicking in this game. There was a lot of running from deep. Both sides were willing to run the ball and throw the ball around, and the French were playing with no fly halves in their team. The Italians were playing with two fly halves in their team. So the way the French set up, they were going to run. Ramos is a specialist fullback. He can obviously do a lot of tactical kicking, but he's a specialist fullback playing in the fly half role because Entamac is injured and Jalibert's out of favour. Whereas the Italians had Garbisi and Allen, who are both specialist inside centre slash fly halves. One playing at fullback, one playing at fly half. So interestingly, the way both sides decided to approach the game was running, not kicking. Running rugby was the order of the day, which is so refreshing, and it's also the undoing of Italy a little bit. They are both sides are young, but the Italian side is younger than the French side with some of the combinations and some of the experience. But you can see what the Italians are trying to do, and you can see the French were definitely stung by that defeat last week. The Italians are buoyed by their victory in the last round, should I say. The French throwing that game away at Twickenham in the last minute. Italy pummeling the Welsh. One side had a confident boosting win, one side had a confidence denting loss. And you would think this could be a close, difficult game. I was expecting a fun game. The first half did not disappoint. In fact, the second half, even though the French run riot, all the tries scored, apart from a few of the pushover tries from the forwards, some of the interplay and handling skills, it was like watching sevens. The fitness of both sides was really tested. The fact the Italians, even in a heavy defeat, were still willing to throw the ball around right at the end and push for a bonus point try at the end is testament to where they see themselves at, and the fact they weren't willing to give up, even though a cricket score was being built against them. The French, they made a statement. They made a statement. But it was the Italians who led first because Barre's opening try is disallowed for a forward pass. And it's this point in the first half where it is starting to open up and it's end to end because both sides are just running the ball. There's not a lot of kicking. It's a lot of tight blindside channels, offloads, support play, support runs, which would draw defenders. Gaps are appearing. So Barry gets a try disallowed in 10 minutes. It's forward pass. From the resulting scrum, Italy scores off first fay with Mencello with his try in 11 minutes. So that's how quick a 14-point turnaround swing can be. You have a try disallowed for a forward pass, and it was very forward. And then from the resulting scrum first phase, the French will not be happy with how they conceded that try. Allen converts. Gouliard's first try in 14 minutes, France respond, and it was very quick. It was very important that they responded quickly. They do that. Tommy Allen then slots a penalty. So this is a very close game at this point. Ramos converted that first try. The second Gouliard try is from a rolling maul from a line out. The French had a heavier, more powerful pack. The Italians had a lighter, more mobile pack. So it was how this game turned out was the power game from the French forwards helped them significantly. Now on another day that might go against them depending on weather conditions, but they utilised a nice firm playing surface and the dominance in the forward pack in this regard. And so Gouliard gets his second try in 22 minutes. Dupont gets his first try a few minutes later in 24 minutes. And you're thinking the French are going to run away with this right now. The Italians have opened up and it's falling apart. But then Brex's try, in my opinion, is probably one of the best tries of the game. And again, we have to look at the French centres and the combinations they have in that backline from 10, 12, 13. Because Ramos is not a fly half, he's a fullback. And the way Brex and the offloads and how the line running, some question marks with Mencello's try and Brex's try. The two Italian centres have picked holes in the French defence. That will be very frustrating for Fabien Galtier and his coaching setup. That's two tries they shouldn't be conceding, and they will be very angry with that because it keeps Italy in the game and it shows the French do have weaknesses, and it's in some of those combinations with the fly half inside and outside centres because you have an unnatural fly half there. That is a weakness. Ramos is not the best defensively. He's very good kicking. He's very good claiming the high ball, but he's not the best in that channel defensively because he's not a fly half. And therefore that communication with the inside centre, the back row forwards, Italy have exposed that twice with some great, you know, passing moves and running lines, and with that offload to Brex is ridiculous. The running line he takes is ridiculous, punches a hole through, and it's a great try. Boudon's try comes on 30 minutes. That's the bonus point for the French. And then Barre gets his first try on 39 minutes, and he's had a brilliant day at fullback. And the way he comes into the line in the outside, basically as a secondary outside centre in blindside channels, or as a secondary winger, giving overlaps and other options, and creating space for the other back through the other two wingers to come into play. He's had a very good game. That was on the stroke of half time. Ramos has converted all of these, and so it's 35-17 at half time. Italy aren't out of this, but that's as close as it would get for Italy, because the second half comes along and then the French just run riot. And they run riot, and I really mean this. They were like playing sevens. It was like an unopposed training session. I'm not saying the Italians weren't trying, and they weren't trying their hand as well, because they do get a try in the second half, and they were pushing for a bonus point try in the second half. But the French, the pressure's now off, they're relaxed, and they're just throwing the ball around and playing with flair. And it's some of the support running. It's some of the back three had a field day today, which is now going to pose selection headaches for Fabien Galtier, because there's players who are currently out injured who would normally be first choice in their positions. So Ntamack at fly half, for example, is just one. Ramos had a good game where he allowed Dupont to do his thing, but he had great interplay and attack and running lines and little chips in ahead. But defensively, Ntamack's probably the better fly half, the more structured fly half. You didn't need a structured fly half today, but you got Ntamack. There are other players in the outside backs who would also, be putting their hand up for reselection or when they are fit and available. So there's some selection headaches, and the back three have given Fabien Galtier some issues, and also the forward pack as well. There's going to be some selection headaches for Fabien Galtier. Aldrich gets his try on 45 minutes. Biel Biarri gets his try in 50 minutes. Dupont gets his second try in 54 minutes. And it just becomes a conveyor belt at this point. The Italians are being ripped to pieces. Now, Garbisi would get his try on Paolo Garbisi on 61 minutes, and he converts his own try. So the Italians are not out of this game completely. They're still chancing their hand. They want to get that try bonus point because they're willing to throw the ball around themselves and contribute to the game. But then Barre gets his second try in 65 minutes. Ascubi on the other wing on 77 minutes, and Barisi right on the stroke of full time. It just became constant. There's 6 tries in the second half to the French, 10 tries in all. I mean, it just ridiculous. Quite honestly, the way the French played was like sevens. Once they got that bonus point, they relaxed, which was towards the end of the first half. They relaxed a little bit. The Italians did pose them some questions, and the 3 tries the Italians scored were all world-class themselves, and it's good line running, and it's good, getting defensive mismatches. So there's areas that the French, even though they've got a dominant win, will need to work on. There are going to be some selection headaches for Fabien Galtier, especially in the fly half role and some of the outside backs, because this is the problem when you've got the starter out but the incumbent has a good game, like Barre at fullback. Can Ramos go back to fullback? I mean, can Ramos go back to his normal fullback role if Ntamack is fit? Do you start Ntamack off the bench, or do you start Ramos off the bench, because Ramos is a very, very good goal kicker? This is some selection headaches, but this poses real questions, because Ireland, while they've won all 3 games so far, haven't looked convincing, whereas this French side today just unleashed themselves. There was anger, there was a frustration with them, and they unleashed themselves. They used their pack very effectively to gain dominance. Although the breakdown was evenly contested. Both sides were competing at the breakdown. There was a lot of turnovers because the pace of the breakdown was such. The players were charging ahead and getting isolated on both sides. You could argue the fitness of the Italians. They were still willing to, again, run the ball, throw the ball around, but you could see that the French just were just on another planet today, another level, and that's why records have been broken today. But on another day, Italy scoring 24 points, that would win you a test match. That is what's ridiculous here, is a 24-point scoreline for a team generally wins you a test match. The fact that you've conceded 73. But on another day, Italy scoring 24 points, they've won a test match. The Italians didn't play terribly in attack. It's defensively where both sides, I think, just didn't want to defend, because France defensively had a few issues as well. And this is probably the biggest scoreline I think we've ever seen. I think it's 98 points or something scored in this test match, which is ridiculous. It's a record for the Six Nations. It's a record win for France. And this has got to strike fear into other teams in the competition, with how the French just ripped, and I really mean this, ripped Italy to pieces. I do think there will be some concerns about that centre partnership, and is it really working as a starting centre partnership? Gael Ficou obviously is the defensive leader of this side. He's not there today. Penaud, who can play centre or wing, wasn't there today. So these are regulars who are not in the side, who are going to be fit and selectable going forward. Galtier's got to make some tough choices. Fly half. Ramos isn't a fly half. Wasn't needed today. You didn't need a controlling fly half. He's more of a runner anyway because he's a fullback. So you didn't really need that structure because this was a very unstructured game. A lot of sevens style, which I think with Dupont would suit. But this France side, not their strongest side, putting a record-breaking win on a decent Italian side. That's a confident Italian side. That's much improved. This is not the Italy of 5 years ago who were getting hammered by everyone. This is an Italian side that can play a bit. And so we've just seen something scary. The French have woken from a misfiring start to the Six Nations. Scary. But there we go. Thank you very much for watching. Place your thoughts in the comments section below. Be very interested to hear from people who watched the game or those who missed the game. And I'll have some more content for you guys and girls very, very soon.